asking questions on
Ooh,
YouTube.
Yes,
nice
yeah, there's one question. Yeah.
Guess I should have YouTube running.
Oh yeah.
It's working.
I don't have YouTube only open rather, so I guess.
I think there's a few second lag.
Yeah, there'll be a few seconds lag.
All right. It's actually set it.
I don't have YouTube only open rather. Sorry, open. Yeah, that's me coming in super late.
It's saying it's starting at 1 minute 35,
Yeah.
1 minute 30. So it'll probably start then.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, that's me coming in super late.
It's saying it's starting at 1 minute 35.
Yeah.
1 minute 30. So
That delay is coming from you, Brian.
There's a huge delay, yeah. So
Yeah.
good 10-15
second
seconds.
delay. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's coming from Brian, then that's great because then we know it's actually on YouTube. That
True.
Yeah, I was just
delay is coming from you, Brian.
I guess so.
There's a huge 10-15 second delay.
Yeah.
That's huge. Can you guys speak?
Yeah, we can speak.
Yeah.
Usually.
Okay, is the delay better now? Yeah.
yes.
No, it says there's a 10-second delay before it goes on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's opened it up as a different live stream, but it's on the YouTube channel, so hopefully people will see it. But so, yeah. I
Well,
don't know.
it's saying waiting for the QTube. It's saying that now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I don't know how to connect that.
oh yeah, I've just found the other stream.
Yeah. Is there a way? Do you know how I can?
Oh, it's us.
Because I wasn't prompted at all for any kind of key or URL or anything like that.
Right.
I
We
have
are
lost.
live.
I have lost my my screen. I'm not seeing anybody anymore. So yes, I have. Yeah, so I got it. I beg
Yeah.
your pardon. I'm back.
It's fine. I just
Okay.
refreshed.
Well, we have a few people watching, so we should start.
Yes. Okay. Let's go for it.
Go for it.
So yeah, I've posted a message in the other one to say that we're actually over on this one. So hopefully everybody will find us. So let's start. So hi everyone. I'm Brian from the QTube, and we have our esteemed panel here of composers. So I'd like to start by just introducing everyone. So first of all, this is in no particular order. I hope nobody will be offended. So I'm going to start with Andy. Andy
I'm out of here. No, go for it. Go for it.
Andy Parton. Andy will be familiar to many of you already as the winner of the inaugural QTube. That's difficult to say, isn't it? Especially after a sip of wine. Inaugural QTube scoring competition earlier this year.
Fantastic job.
Fantastic score, yeah, for the Caminandes 3 animation. Congratulations again, Andy. He's since continued to be active on the QTube and other platforms, developing his skills and establishing himself as a composer of note. A little pun there. Do you like that?
I like that. Yes, very clever.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you. He describes himself, if you don't mind me telling everyone, as a games programmer by day, a composer by night. It is night time now, so we're okay. He started playing piano at an early age and then forgot about it for over 40 years. I guess until
Good idea.
I guess until COVID came along. I don't know. And he also recently composed a beautiful. Oh, I've just screwed that.
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful score. There he is. There's Andy.
That's a bad picture.
Are you seeing Andy?
Frozen Ocean.
A beautiful score for the ocean.
Nice.
Clip on the QTube.
Oh, I hadn't checked that one out yet. Gonna have to go there.
So there's a new one for you to listen to.
Nice.
Don't bother with the sound, right? Doesn't work.
Just have a few minutes of enjoying.
Sounds
this.
better than this.
But the sound is going to come on next week's roundtable.
Can you not hear it?
No.
No, not hearing the
Oh,
sound.
so I hear a little something. Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear a little bit.
Oh, really? This is the problem we had before, Andy, yeah?
Hmm.
But I do have the thing checked. So you're only hearing it through my microphone, I guess, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a problem we have.
Are you currently sharing a screen, Brian?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm using another tool.
There you go.
Anyway,
There we are.
oh, you can hear it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, by the
just
way,
in time.
I've
You're nice. There you go.
That was awesome.
that was a wonderful last note, Andy. Thank you. So anyway, I've put links in the description, or I will do. Now we're on a different YouTube thing. I will put links to everybody's channels, everybody's work in the description, so you can hear more of their work. Okay, next up we have Navid, who's in Trinidad. Hi, Navid. Navid is another active composer on the QTube and brings a great deal of experience to the table. Navid Lancaster is a musician, music producer from Trinidad and Tobago. He's the owner of Lancast, an independent company that composes the emotions for award-winning films, video games, mobile apps, and animation. Navid is a member of the Copyright Music Organization of Trinidad and Tobago. That just trips off the tongue.
Nice.
A holder of the Certificate of Recognition of Caribbean Community Skills Qualification, and a registered cultural worker with the National Registry of Artists and Cultural Workers. Navid, all this stuff sounds like it's from the Soviet Union, you know? It's huge titles. He holds a BA honours, first class honours in Media and Communications from the University of Greenwich, England, and an MA in New Media and Society from the University of Leicester in England. He has travelled. And again, there's more of his work on his website, and I will put the link in the description.
Quick thing that I haven't traveled. I actually did that through another school, SPCS down here. So yes, so the reason I traveled were my books.
Ah, okay, not bad. Well, you will, I'm sure you will.
I'm sure they're fine.
Can you hear it?
Raise it up a little bit.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's Roger.
Ooh.
Yep.
Roger Hewitt.
Nice
Roger.
job. Nice job, Navid.
Thank you.
Roger says that music has been his life's work, from arranging and directing for a stage show when he was 16 to his more recent role as composer and musical director for a long-running Cirque du Soleil. Did I say that?
Ooh, very well pronounced. Yes.
Touring production, unfortunately, recently closed due to COVID. And many screen productions along the way, Double Jeopardy, The Art of War, Hitler, The Rise of Evil, and more. He says that ever since my childhood, I've had a passion for music in film and television production. I find myself completely inspired by the contribution a decent score makes to a production, whatever the genre. We'll have a couple of samples now.
What about Maddie? I'll take care of him. We'll have a great time. You hate to sing.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Lovely. Beautiful, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roger. Yeah, that's really great. We'll maybe talk about some of that stuff. Right, next up, Matthew. Hi, Matthew.
Hello.
All right, here we go. Cornwall-based Matthew Thomason is developing an impressive roster of film and music credentials, among which I can mention his composition for the forthcoming film Long Way Back, which is being released on the festival circuit in the spring of next year. Matthew also composed 2 pieces for a short film about ice, which premiered in Krakow in August and is being screened in Belgrade this month before a wider release. Excellent. Also developing work for theatre and musical productions down in Cornwall, as well as the recent development of radio drama music for a theatre company up north, which he describes as much more COVID-friendly composing.
In that, it's pretty much the only thing you can do at the moment is radio drama. That's the way it's friendlier.
Matthew,
No
Matthew,
theatre.
Matthew is also currently being mentored. This is interesting. Matthew is currently being mentored by the piano legend, I'm not sure of the pronunciation, Lubomir Melnik, Sony Classical and Erased Tapes. All of this stuff will be in the description. Who invented continuous music. According to Wikipedia, I did a little bit of research. Melnik, I don't know if any of you know Melnik, but Melnik claims that his piano music requires a special technique, closely related to the martial arts, and is too complex and difficult for any concert pianist to play.
Wow.
Because of his lifelong devotion to the piano, that's Lubomir, not Matthew, but maybe Matthew also, has been called the prophet of the piano.
Not me, unfortunately.
One day, Matthew, one day.
Thankfully, as I'm nowhere near good enough to be a classical pianist, that last statement doesn't matter for me. So classical pianists can't do it, not my problem.
What better way to finish than with a shot of Iceland, eh?
Yes, indeed, yeah.
That's beautiful, beautiful. And
Nice job, very nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
Thank you very much.
the video is beautiful as well.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, last but not least, of course, Anthony, who helped me enormously a few minutes ago. Thank you, Anthony. Anthony is a composer, conductor, organist, currently reading for the B.Muse, or Bachelor of Music, I suppose, degree at the University of Aberdeen.
Nice.
I should say that with a Scottish accent, really. And for the second year, running the holder of the, for the second year running, sorry, the holder of the prestigious David and June Gordon Memorial Organ Scholarship at King's College Chapel. It really looks like a beautiful place to study. Oh, that's Lubomir. That's not Anthony. That's Lubomir.
On a bad day.
There's Anthony.
There he is.
Much fresher. Much fresher than Luke. There's Abbott. Is that right, Anthony? Is that
Oh,
Aberdeen?
beautiful.
Yes, that's King's College. Yes,
That's
That's your
incredible.
school? Wow.
It's like
Just parts
Hogwarts.
of the campus. It is. No, so you see the tower to the left. So that's the beginning of the chapel. So if you go inside, there's a massive quad inside, and there's a beautiful chapel inside, and that's where the organ is based. So it's a beautiful campus.
All right, excellent. Well,
Fabulous. Well done.
it must be very inspiring. There's Anthony again, still looking fresh. Anthony's also provided a score for multimedia presentations, as I understand it, at the UNESCO and World Heritage Site, St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic. Have you ever been there?
Yes. I'm actually half Russian, so I speak English and Russian bilingually.
Ah,
And my
fantastic.
brother actually sang in St. Basil Cathedral, and I'm good friends with the director there, and we had a collaboration, and we decided to,
Beautiful.
I really wanted to write their music, so
Yeah.
we just kind of kept in touch since.
Oh, that's
so-
fantastic. Yeah. If ever my tour picks back up again with Cirque du Soleil, we should be there next year. We should have been there this year, but we should be there
fantastic.
next year. Yeah, it's lovely. I was there in
Wonderful.
2012, I think. Yeah. But oh, fabulous, good for you.
No, it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
What
lovely.
a great place to have a piece of your music. I mean, that's really
Mm.
Yes, definitely.
Right.
Well, it's a really honor and privilege. So
yeah, for them you mean.
Both.
And just to continue, just to finish off, having been educated in Oxford, Anthony, your life seems to be closely linked to beautiful architecture. I mean, you've got Oxford, you've got Aberdeen, you've got Moscow. I mean, it's amazing. Anthony is also assistant producer at an interesting sounding project called I Sing for Peace, which describes itself as a global project which aims to bring musicians and singers together to collaborate and make music. And I will share Anthony's SoundCloud link in the description. And here's a few minutes of a score that Anthony has just done, or maybe he's just finishing, I'm not sure.
Just drafting.
This is a draft, yeah?
This is the draft, yes. I need to
Okay.
just mix a couple of things, but
This is a draft, everyone, okay? Be kind.
Tragedy, a death, and the diversity of life. The ocean.
All right, there we are. Thank you, guys. Excellent. Thank you for providing those materials and information. Very interesting. Very nice to meet you. So, I don't know. I mean, does anybody want to start with any follow-up on any of the information that we've had so far? Perhaps you want to discuss Cirque du Soleil, or you want to discuss Navid's.
It's funny, you were asking sort of what I've done in the way of film music. I mean, as I said, mainly the stuff that I've done has been as an orchestrator, arranger / and booth director, I suppose, for supervising what goes on in the booth. But looking back at what I've done film-wise recently, they're all pretty dated. You know, I think the last movie I was actually on, or TV series, was a 2012, 13ish, because I've been on tour ever since with Cirque. So as this huge gap has gone, you know, in my life, so it all looks like ancient history now. But I was happy to see that it was in color, at least, you know. So
how do you feel about? I can't hear him.
yeah, what, me?
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? I mean, would you like to be able to sort of change that balance a little bit?
Yeah, I've certainly missed it. I mean, once you're on tour with a production like I was doing, it's a very, very big chunk of life. It's you know, you're home for maybe 3 or 4 weeks a year. There you go. And yeah, I can't do that at 2:15, but still. But yeah, I do miss I miss sessions and the recording world basically as a whole.
Yeah.
And certainly the film world, yeah, because it's changed a bit since I've been away in any case. So I'm playing a bit of catch up while I'm here as well, renewing libraries and systems and things. So
yeah,
so it's good. There's some fantastic things. When I did like Double Jeopardy in the movies back then, it was all the real thing. You hear the percussion. It was actually in the studio where everything was live. And now the samples can get fairly close to recreating that, certainly with some sound. Certain sounds are still a little bit touch and go, you know, but it was fantastic to work with the real thing.
Yeah, it must be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we had 83 musicians on Double Jeopardy.
Nice.
Big orchestra. Yeah.
And where was that? Where did
That was done in the Paramount Studios in Hollywood.
Right. Nice experience. Very nice.
Studio M, I think they've torn it down in a few years afterwards. Actually, that was like that's where they recorded all the bit. It was called the Crosby Studios. No, it wasn't. The Crosby Studios, the Bing Crosby Studios. Yeah,
Right.
not to be confused.
Yeah,
Not to be
I was like,
confused. Studio M. Yeah, that's right. So it was where they did all the movies back in the day. You know, one of the original sound stages. It was a beautiful space. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, feel free to chip in with questions.
So is the music with Cirque du Soleil? Sorry, Cirque du Soleil.
No, it's fine.
Is it live? Is it
Yes.
a live band you got there? Right.
Yes,
Wow.
many of the shows these days, since the direction has changed, they do use a lot of recorded music. But my show, we have 8 musicians, 2 singers of a certain lineup. So everything is done live. We have a couple of tracks going on.
Right.
And click tracks, because we're actually divided into 4 separate pits with the band. So we're only like 2 or 3 musicians per pit. the drummer's by himself, which is the best place for a drummer, you know. But it is actually performed live. Now I prefer the standard, the classic shows like that, because we do get to follow the action. We have a lot more flexibility when we're not using recordings. That's for sure. I'm a live musician
that's
person,
true.
so yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because no two performances would be the same. So
Exactly. Yeah, very much so.
So have any of you guys ever been to a Cirque show, actually?
No.
Yes. I've incidentally actually been to Cirque du Soleil. There was one in Oxford, I think. Gosh, when it was a few years ago now. I think they did like a tour.
Yeah.
And I definitely went to one of them. I can't remember my life how, but it was amazing. I loved it. And I always, as a child, used to love to go to circuses and, the candy floors, the everything, but all the acts and the music to it, Roger. So I definitely fondly remember, going to definitely Cirque du Soleil, a couple of performances when they were in the UK tour, and so good experiences from that.
Oh, that's nice. It's funny, when I was a child, I hated circuses. I hated the clowns. I hated the sawdust and the animals and the smell. I just couldn't. So I couldn't believe that that's what I was doing for the past like 15 years. It's but it's different now. It's just we have carpets and electricity, and it's fun.
Sure.
Roger, do you feel like because of your opposition to circus when you were younger, you've maybe approached it with a slightly different mentality of writing the music? So, or have you kind of gone down you're kind of delved into a more traditional world? Or do you think?
No, the music, well, Cirque du Soleil music these days, in any case, is a lot different. We have between our band, actually, we have a whole range of instruments that are covered. So it was great to be able to flare out in so many different styles. We have, on my show, we have like 4 or 5 different composers. So all the music is different. And we have a film composer from Montreal that did a lot of the work. And it's, all the composers have their different styles, and it's great to be able to use that flair. And for me, because the lineup was already established as to what the band was going to be, so it's nice as well to have that set palette. And I find that as well in film music, when you're writing, I find to narrow the palette down a little bit makes the music, I can get a lot more inspiration from a small palette, rather than looking at a huge screen and that's a huge palette, and just thinking, okay, where do you start? It's just nice to think of an ensemble first and then write accordingly. Swinging that one all the way around to film music, you see. So,
What do you guys think about that? I mean, do you think that it helps in a way to have constraints when you're composing?
In terms of the palette?
In terms of everything. I mean, the principle that having limits on what you can do is actually helpful.
For me, yeah, because we live in an age where, I mean, we talked about sample libraries, for example, just now. We have so many sample libraries, and I've been on many forums where people are asking what is the best sample library for this. We have so much choice that it can get confusing and or intimidating. So when you have less, I think as creators, all of us here are creators, and those who are listening to us are creators. I think we thrive more on less, because then we have a chance to create, and we have an excuse for want of a better example, to create. And I think it's a way of us exercising that muscle to show people that we can do so much or express so much with this palette of sound that we have. I think if we have so much sound, we might tend to be lazy or what they say, call it in, and just do the simple thing, to get the idea across.
Yeah. I mean, do you impose those yourself sometimes, or is it generally imposed by somebody else?
Both. Actually, make it 3. The director, for example, what the film will dictate, in terms of this whatever given scene, and what I have around me in terms of musical instruments or soft synths.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Never to some extent, because we've always heard this saying less is more. In many cases when it comes to music, it's better to have maybe a few musical ideas and develop them rather than have a whole full-blown thing. But I think just in terms of if one creates a smaller palette of sound, say, if you're asked to create a score, with a Middle Eastern score, which uses Middle Eastern instruments, for example, cultural instruments, it allows you to kind of narrow your mind and say, okay, I'm going to use the shakuhachi for this one. I'm going to use the dulcimer for this one, native to this country. And, if you put that kind of, if you have that kind of mentality and you think that, okay, I want to get into this world, I'm going to write this piece of music that's, I say, based in Turkey, for example, I would like these sounds to, show the best out of the score, best out of the culture, then I think, yes, to an extent, it's good to have a small palette like that.
That's a fascinating point.
Yes.
Yeah, we're hearing you.
Can hear you.
Yeah, we're hearing.
Yeah, you're still here? He's gone. Just ordering a pizza.
Who's gone?
No, I think we're all here. You're still here?
We're all
No,
here.
we're all
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
no pizza at the moment.
Okay.
Oh.
Actually,
I know.
coming. Yeah, go for it.
Go on, Roger.
Oh no, I was just going to say, what I have found actually through having these multiple software libraries of today, it's a great way of learning about certainly about ethnic instruments,
Yeah.
different styles of playing, whatever things I used to incorporate when I was writing for strings for films. In any case, but certainly like ethnic instruments. I commented on somebody that posted on LinkedIn the other day. What is that sound coming up at this particular point of what he had played? And it turned out it was an opera cymbal, opera gong. And I'd never heard of it. And I ended up looking it up and finding out what an opera gong is. And it's a fascinating instrument. And, if you use these things wisely and subtly, that's always the key. Don't stick them in all over the place, just use them appropriately. And as is the case with most writing, actually. I mean, I look at my scores sometime and they look half empty, but that's fine. They work. You don't want to have instruments playing all the time, so. But yeah, sorry, two subjects at once there. But it's a great way of learning about different instruments and styles of writing, for sure.
I found with sample libraries that it can be a blessing and a curse. That you can end up spending a fortune on them because you just want to keep getting more and more really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And second, what I sometimes find is that I can spend hours, days scrolling through sounds, tones, everything. And especially like because I do a lot of ambient music as well, which is more kind of soundscapey. So electronic instruments, not organic instruments. And I can sit there in some kind of bizarre trance for hours, clicking through synthesizers. And it's just going
yes,
until you've totally forgotten what you were even doing, what song you're writing. And it's kind of, I sometimes think, I wonder how productive Beethoven would have been if he'd had a Mac in front of him and thousands of samples, because it's too tempting in a way. So I think what I find quite helpful is to say, I normally just kind of will find a sound. Say if it's speaking solely about my ambient work here, but I'll find a sound and I think, now I'm going to write a piece of music using this sound rather than writing a piece of music and then trying to find the sound that fits that.
That's good.
Yeah. Personally, I found that a little bit better because you don't have to worry about it too much.
That seems like a good solution. Yeah. It's a challenge and an opportunity at the same time. Yeah. The proliferation of all of these sound libraries.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I'm not very good at restraint. I can start off really restrained and then the orchestra starts creeping in, and by the end of it, it's a big, massive.
That's why I give up. Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah,
this sounds like a meeting of Composers Anonymous.
Hello,
we're all like
hello. Yeah, and I'm a composer. Hi, composer.
I think for Elephant Stream, I wanted something sort of ethnic and weird that I'd never heard before. So I have Composer Cloud. So I've only ever used the orchestra bit of it. So I looked at, I can't remember the name of the library, but there was some unbelievable sounds in it. So of course I filled the whole thing with these sounds until the orchestra crept in and it all turned into a big orchestra thing.
But what do you all think about the plethora of free sound libraries? I mean, they have some very good ones out there. Are we allowed to drop names, Brian?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so for example, Labs Where's the thing?
Not that one.
Piano?
No.
It's fine. It's fine. The competition went already. It's good. But I actually I find myself using a lot of Spitfire Labs stuff.
Yeah.
And a few of them actually were used on some of the videos for the QTube, the videos. And then they have a few other libraries that they have their paid stuff, but they give you samples of their free stuff as well. So I find myself stocking up on those a lot as well.
Yeah.
But it comes to a point where you have to stop stocking and start producing.
Very true.
So true.
Very true.
I mean,
that is the massive drain. I don't know how others have found time management these days when it comes to writing specifically for a product, for a project, because I find that, with the technology these days, it can just be overbearing, and then it's like 3 or 4 hours before you've actually written a note, you know. So I do still have the old standby of like, I use manuscript paper, I use a pencil, write things out first.
Oh my
so
God.
at least I have a sketch of where I'm going.
Roger, that's radical.
Yeah.
Radical, is it really?
I'm very similar to Roger in the sense because I've only got into DAWs, like digital audio workstations, over the past year or two.
Yeah.
Here behind me are scores of manuscript jottings of small things, and that's how I was brought up. So I was only introduced to Sibelius notation software probably when I was about 11, 12. Right. Before then, I was just jotting stuff down, seeing things will work. So it's very interesting to hear, you know, especially with you, Roger, just everyone in the conversation about the different techniques and different ways we've got into composing, the different methods we use as well. You know, and I find that fascinating.
Yeah, no, definitely. I find it's a very useful tool. Even if it's just half a dozen measures, it's enough to keep an idea sort of solidified.
Yeah.
What I've discovered recently, since I've updated my digital performer, which I use, and I'm one of the rare ones that use that. Sometimes I just I make a point of trying to do something daily, basically, and sometimes I'll sit down at the piano and just play, and I've lost it because I didn't hit record. But now they have this retroactive record, and even after the fact, you know, you can just go retroactive record, and the whole thing just appears. And I was like, oh, there you go, that's fantastic. I love that.
Yes.
I think it's probably been around for years, but I only discovered it like last week or something.
A revolutionary approach.
I use it all the time now. That's all I use, rather than sitting around waiting for the countdown beeps and spend half your life just waiting for the countdown.
How do you feel about recording, or at least getting inspiration, first of all? Because I've noticed the pattern here, I'll come to that afterwards. But when you start composing, okay, you got a project, you've got to your first sequence lined up, ready to go, and you hit record, whatever, and your click comes out thumping away at 120 BPM, and like, okay. And I find sometimes many people I can tell by the way they've written that that's the tempo, and they sort of flutter around on the keyboard. And sometimes the music has this like clockwork style to it, as if that's all they had for inspiration. Sort of anybody else, do you notice that sort of thing, or do you find a different method around it?
I find so the film that I've scored, it was meant to be out this spring, called Long Way Back.
Nice plug.
Yeah, the solo piano. And what actually happened, and so I got given the script before they produced the film, and I just started composing music based on the script. And then I was just sending the director these really kind of very primitive phone recordings of these pieces of music, and they'd just be titled the character name or a place, a location, or some part of the script. And I was bombarding him with stuff. Every time I sat at the piano, I wrote something, I just think I'll just ping it to him, not precious about it at all. And then he kind of shot the film, and then came back to me and said, I've done an edit of the film using these drafts.
Oh wow.
Right. So and then he's like, so all I need you to do now is just redo them properly. And I was thinking, I don't remember how to play it, and B, it's in such an awkward time because I in no way played it to any set tempo. So then I had to retrospectively record it to film
Yeah.
with no, I mean, it was edited to these drafts.
Oh man, so that was really precise.
Yeah, so I was recording it all organically, so I had all my piano mic'd up, and I was literally sat there for hours watching this film.
Organically, so you didn't have a MIDI version or a MIDI template,
No,
even if it was
totally organic. So then I might do like, 4 or 5 minutes of a shot and then make a mistake, and that was the most annoying thing, Anyway, so it was a very roundabout way, but it has got a very organic sound because it's not very regimented, and the film feels very organic because it's
that's lovely.
Edited to so it was hard work and totally different than other projects, but it was actually quite nice.
Do you if you do use a tempo track, do you sort of fiddle with it to make it go up and down to make it sound more human?
I've never done that, but it's something that would probably quite interest me. I kind of
I have done that after the fact. Sometimes I've improvised.
After the fact,
I've sort of like played piano in with the click off or whatever, and then gone in and added the click. It can be a little bit jumpy though, that's the only thing. But if you're orchestrating then afterwards and you're trying to, fit things around it that's going to be played live, then it's quite useful. Or even not live, actually, it just makes things a lot easier for markers and things. So What about you?
I've done that often. Like I would say more than once often. Even the latest YouTube video, which I'm going to be submitting soon, has that kind of thing where first thing, I mean, all of us are composers, so we all know this. We look at hit points on the film, and then you mark them to suit. So some parts of the film, for me to reach a certain point, I have to speed up or slow down. So that's an advantage, and I guess a disadvantage of using a DAW, that you could get exactly what you want. It's just the time it takes to speed up or slow down. And I know most likely everyone here will be using different types of DAWs. I'm a Studio One person. I've been using it since version 2. And yes, I have used, except for Digital Performer, I've used Logic, I've used Pro Tools, I've used all of them back in the day when I was on Mac. Now I'm on Windows. Don't kill me.
Many people have made that change.
I'm on Windows.
No, I love Roger. He's got his Mac in the background, just showing the just selling the Apple product just behind him.
I've got my laptop here. It's just because I don't like the view of what's behind me. So there you go.
But so I do that. I do that a lot now in terms of figuring out the kind of feel that I want for a certain scene. I speed up or slow down everything. It's only in certain songs or whatever I will have something straight to the metronome, bap, bap, bap. But most of the time, I tempo change everything.
But that's perfect like that. Even if you're recording something which is more or less in tempo on piano is sort of straight, you're going to be more flexible with it. It's just going to breathe more if you do just turn the click off and play. I find it's pretty vital as a musician to just let it breathe.
I agree. But I usually do that when I want to jot the ideas down. And then unlike Andrew, who said it, I think, I was either Andrew or Roger. I think it's more Roger. I usually just record on my phone. Like I was sing the not the piano part. I will just sing the melody. And I have a whole stock full of ideas on my phone, and then of course I back it up. We all know we have to back up data.
So
the drunken humming technique.
Drunken humming technique.
Can we?
4 a.m.
Can you share some on YouTube, please?
God.
There you go.
I've got a few.
It could be a subgenre, I think.
Phone recorder sessions.
Well, the way things are going with social distancing, I mean, it'll probably be the way movies will be scored in the future. It's just like, okay, there you go.
Movies? What are movies? Is something?
Movies. Sorry, films.
No, I mean films as well. Nobody's making.
Yeah, that's very true. Are they not over there? How is the industry over there actually?
It seems to be
UK.
okay over here.
They're where? So I don't know who is they're Trinidad, I mean?
They're
So-
making them, but they're not releasing them in cinemas.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
Cineworld's closing now, so
Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard that.
Trinidad's still on lockdown in terms of borders. You know, we could move internally within, you know, but we have the rules, wear mask outside, so on and so forth. And yeah, assembling is like no more than 5 people at this point in time, if I remember clearly. So right now, movie theaters are a no-go. Everything, as we all know, is like Netflix, online, watching stuff, you know, but no assemblage of people. So people aren't getting that type of movie-going experience right now.
Okay, yeah.
Guys, we have a question from our audience. We have an
Ooh.
audience.
We have an audience.
We have an audience. it's my dad, you know.
Hello, Dad.
Hello, Dad.
Hello, Dad. All right, here is the question. Actually, maybe you guys are watching on YouTube. I don't know, but there is a question there from Dominic Francis. Hi, Dominic. I'll read it out. What are your thoughts on the future of film scoring, especially in the current climate? And when you consider recent news like the potential shutting of Cineworld cinema chain in the UK, and I guess it's happening in many countries.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that actually. That's a big one.
Yeah. What do you think, guys?
it's not very clear whether it's permanent.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, yeah, it's I don't, yeah, there's not much clearance on that. I think did they say about it today or yesterday? When did they release that info?
Yesterday, I
Well,
think.
tomorrow they're going to make an announcement. So.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, back to the question. I don't know the same sort of perspective in the UK. Over in North America, I just have a feeling there'll be more in the way of independent films, the smaller self-produced things that are going to come out. Probably still with live music. That's what I would like, instead of always software, especially with the number of rooms that are available, and there are a lot of smaller rooms over here, but probably with smaller ensembles and just veering away from the big Hollywood productions, and also a lot of TV productions. I've actually, having spent so much time in front of certain Netflix, we might as well just say it in any case, watching series, I find that the standard of these things has actually got very, very good.
Incredible.
And which is good that they're maintaining the standards of the music. Okay, there's a lot of software DAWs going on in that direction, but there's also a lot of recordings using live music, which is it's been pretty outstanding, the scoring that's taking place in these days.
I was watching The Mandalorian yesterday, and I think it's a mixture of
season 2 is out now. Yeah.
synth and no, I'm rewatching the first series before the second one comes along. But it's a mixture of synth, and I know the guy's got loads of weird instruments. He's got a whole room full of them, and it's just amazing for a TV program.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quality music.
I think they kind of Netflix really set a benchmark with Stranger Things as well in terms of TV series soundtracks, because does Michael Stein, is it, who composed it? There's two guys, isn't there?
Two of them, yeah.
Yes, that's
and
right.
Their studio is just like a museum of synthesizers. It's just absolutely incredible. And I think it's growing as the series get more money. The series are getting more expansive. And I saw some photographs in the studio, and it made me very, very jealous. But that is the equivalent of having a live orchestra for that style, isn't it? It's just all this thousands and thousands of pounds worth of analog synthesizers, modular synthesizers, and it's a great soundtrack as well.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
when you're watching films and TV, do you spend more time listening to the music than the program?
Most definitely in my case, yeah. Well, as much time
these days.
It takes about as much time, but I mean, I'm always listening to what's going on or whatever. But
I mean, since I've started doing this and seeing what you guys do, because I wouldn't consider myself a composer, it's really changed the way that I watch films. I can tell you that. It's dramatically.
Same, yeah.
It's dramatically changed the way that I watch films. I enjoy them much more, actually. I really appreciate the art that's gone into it, you know.
I think I learned about this when I was working ghostwriting with a composer out of Montreal a few years back, it's such a powerful medium. One note can make a whole different feeling for the emotions that you're trying to portray. So it's really, really very delicate, you know. You can just change one note and the whole mood is completely different. Or sometimes just having one note playing is enough to either make something comedic or you know, it's this very delicate subject. Yeah. So bravo to everybody here.
In terms of direction, I think what's sort of been happening for the last year or two is moving much more towards abstract soundscapes in films, like Hilda Gudnadottir, who did Chernobyl and Joker, and this really sparse, almost atonal kind of, and it's almost like they think we don't need to heighten emotions, we need to not set a scenery. I don't know. It's difficult. It's almost like it's become less programmatic and it's more like, just we're going to create this atmosphere that makes you feel the emotions that these people are feeling, rather than trying to paint a picture of what you're seeing already.
Yes.
And I think that's kind of happened with some of the series. I know Dark on Netflix is a composer called Ben Frost does a lot of kind of field recordings and just quite nasty sounds, but they just sound so incredible with these visuals. And I think it's more, I've noticed that's kind of happening, seems to be happening more and more.
But does this spell the death of melody?
I was going to bring up melody as well, actually. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all motifs and atmospheres now, and it's beginning to annoy me.
I'm with you. I completely agree. Thank you. Yeah, I miss the days of melody. You know, even just a few short years ago, melody was still there, and
something you could hum when you left the cinema.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, apart from your armpits. Yeah. Sorry, I have no idea where that came from, but that's.
I think in some respects, I agree. Being someone that likes to write melodies, but at the same time, I think that when the beauty of these soundscapes is that when you do put a melody in, it has such a huge impact because it's so irregular, and you almost go. It's almost like you go, "Oh, thank goodness for that!" Like something I can like attach to just for a minute, and it heightens. It becomes a very physical experience. Well, for me certainly, because I've listened to a lot of the music, but I think it's sort of,
I think that's right.
Leitmotif is king or queen, as the case may be.
What is that? Sorry.
Leitmotif is king
leitmotif
or queen.
Yes.
Leitmotif is king.
Yeah. Still, I miss those types of movies. Well, what I found actually watching some of we've been watching all sorts of things here, the older stuff. I mean, sometimes the music or just the sound, it sets up what's going to happen before it happens, and it kind of kills it. You know, I do like sometimes watching a more modern and more recent production, whether it's TV or film, that something really just like surprises you out of nowhere because you just weren't expecting it, as opposed to like hearing it's like, well, something's going to happen because the music is telling us, and it's nice to veer away from that, that's for sure.
I think I just want to dwell on the aspect of narrative, because melody is of course important, but something I think you mentioned, Roger, is the programmatic elements that music has, and what you Matthew said about the textures, what was used in Chernobyl can create such a really dense kind of, but it can evoke many emotions. And so I guess I think there's been quite a development between using melodies, leitmotifs, and using these textures, these synthy textures. For example, I know Thomas Newman, he was he uses such great synth, the piano with reverb, for example, like in Nemo, or in Tolkien, for example. His scores are incredibly woven. And so I think, I mean, he was the first kind of I say pioneer, but when I think of synthy kind of sounds and the hybridization between melody and kind of this synthy sound, it is Thomas Newman. And so I think there is a kind of development in there, but I think traditional melody sort of writing, leitmotifs still exists, and I'm adamant, to even if it is put it on manuscript paper, to start with the melody and develop it, and then maybe go into DAW at a later stage.
Yeah. And there's so much you can do with the melody anyway. I mean, you,
Yeah.
you can easily take it further and break it down. And that's where I find the fun as an arranger / orchestrator, just taking little bits. And you've always got that reference, and it can be very,
That's
very
right.
short snippet, but it's still there, and
That's
it's good. Yeah, well done you for keeping that up.
Thank you.
In terms of learning, because that was mentioned, Anthony, that you've learned from this composer. Open question. I mean, we are all, no matter what stage of our career we are in and how many years we've been at it, we are still learning. What so resources are being used to learn what composers are doing?
Great
So, for
question.
example, for myself, I'm a podcast listener. I listen to about 5 different podcasts on composing and or sound design, because I'm a sound designer as well. I do sound design for music videos and other things as well. So I keep up to date in a sense with what is out there and any new tips or tricks that other composers have used to get their ideas across, and I try to incorporate them or modify them in my work. So, open question: what have you all been listening to or reading?
Good question. I love it.
Yeah, who's going to dare answer that one?
Well,
I mean,
I'm kind of new at all this,
Mm.
but where I got all my information from was Guy Mitchellmore.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I think we all
Oh,
picked
yeah.
up a bit from him. Yeah, he's great to watch. He's
Yeah.
a fun guy. Yeah.
He is a guy to listen to him all day. He's becoming a bit of a salesman now, but and Christian Henson,
That's
Yes.
Yeah.
who I recently discovered did 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps.
That's right.
Steve, and I
That's
mean,
right.
total respect for him now.
There's an interesting story about that, actually.
And his mum's Eunice Stubbs.
No.
Oh,
about-
really?
Yes.
His
That's
mum's
right.
Nicky
Eunice Stubbs.
Henson,
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead with the interesting story.
Sorry, I'm giving away his family secret.
See, they've done some roundtable stuff as well. So I was watching a few of those, to prepare for this. And he was telling the story about that particular soundtrack that he did. And he said that he was completely drunk, and he decided to do like a guide vocal because he had a deadline, and he sent it to them, and they sort of approved it. And then he got somebody to do the proper vocal, but they actually used his vocal by mistake.
Oh,
on the-
really?
Oh my word.
on the second
Can't be
season.
satisfied with it because there's quite a few versions. I'm watching it every day when I'm eating my lunch, because it's on iPlayer.
So the intro music on the second season is Christian Henson drunk in the middle of the night singing into his microphone.
Oh, well, I got to check that out now. That's cool.
Oh
Thanks.
yeah.
You see, he told me on Twitter that there was a story behind it, and he never elaborated. He just left me high and dry.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
High and dry, pun not intended. Yeah.
See, you are a resource, Brian.
He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. That's it.
Oh gosh.
But yeah,
I mean,
I'll tell you who I think is also really interesting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. Is Rick Beato.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yes,
brilliant.
Yeah, of
yes, he's got a
Fantastic
big YouTube
guitarist.
channel. Yeah,
That's right. What makes a song great series and everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
He's got
He
everything
gets
from
really
like
annoyed with
modes,
YouTube.
everything.
Oh yeah, his rants. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, he was yeah. But I was just saying that just to go back to your point, Navid, more recently I've been, diving into the world of orchestration, and also, how I can use MIDI orchestration in, digital audio workstations.
Right.
I mean, a great start for me is the Norton orchestration book, which is the kind of iconic one that everyone uses. So I've been diving into that over the past 3 months, during lockdown, learning something new that I've never done before. So that's been one in terms of literature. But other than that, in university, you kind of get like a general understanding from the antiquity, in terms of music antiquity to, 1945 Stravinsky, Bartok. So there is some kind of continuity and teaching of sort of key moments, so to speak, Beethoven 5. So I guess, there is a sort of musical canon in terms of classical music. So there is kind of works that, so to speak, that you can listen to. But I'm sure, Roger, Matthew, and Andrew, and Brian, I'm sure there's other literatures that you've come across as well.
You're familiar with Thomas Goss?
I was going to ask for recommendations.
Yes,
that's
the
what I always have.
That's
I always have
one,
my
Yep.
orchestration by Samuel Adder. I've been using that for years. Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one.
And this is available on. No, it's fine.
Study. What was yours, Matthew?
Mine's
it's exactly the same, but different.
It's Adler, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Adler.
It's the same one. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
It is. It's incredible. It is really amazing, and it's not really bedtime reading, but it's good if you kind of sat there and you want to know. What
is the range of a contrabassoon?
Exactly.
It's like, oh, there you go.
That's the key.
I've
got a screensaver for that.
Yeah.
That's
neat. Yeah.
It gets even more techie. I'm going to show you something. And yes, I was a beta test on it, so it's all cool. You ever heard of an app called Caldera Sound? Oh, you can't even see it through the blue screen. There you go. Caldera Sound. It's an instrumentation tutor, and it gives all the standard instruments. So like if I'm orchestrating something, I used it partially on my first album. And even when I did the first video, the scoring competition for QTube, right, I actually used that as well to make sure the ranges of the instruments were in the proper range.
Yeah, nice.
So it's like I'm halfway through something, writing down part of a leitmotif of a part, and I was like, oh my gosh, I think I want like the clarinet went over a certain range. So it brought out the app, watched it just to make sure, and it has so I use this. Thomas Goss they have a nice book called, I think, 100 points on orchestration. I think he brought up another one as well. But I use all these techie tools plus watching the Mitchell Moore videos and so forth. They give all these really cool tips. But my main thing, of course, is podcasts. I love listening to podcasts, and that's how I work my way through this part of orchestration, because I come from actually from a producer background. And of course, since I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, I did things like calypso music, soca music, that kind of thing. And I stumbled into film scoring by accident in 2012. Very short story. A friend of mine, very good friend of mine actually, and we're still working on music to this day, and you actually saw a couple of them in the video that Brian had. Cheers, Brian. So a couple of them with the video Brian showed about me. His name is Stephen Taylor. We've been working, he's a continuously since 2012. He's a film director. And he, on his first major film, he just walked up to me and asked me if I could do music for his film, because I gave him a business card showing him that I'm a music producer. We met at a party once where I was doing the sound and he was filming. That's another story. But I'm stumbled upon it, and from there I have to learn real world learning. What goes with what sounds good with what, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's how I learn, and I'm continuously learning like that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we never stop learning. Yeah.
Probably I never get invited to that sort of party.
No, me neither. Not anymore, anyway.
Trinidad and Tobago when our borders open. We have Carnival next year. If it's still on, we will show you how to party.
Great idea. Great idea. I love it.
Perfect. I've been having an interesting journey this last 6 months with Lubomir Melnyk, we referred to earlier on the piano. So this has been my kind of learning. So I've kind of, because I've got so kind of involved in DAWs and studio production, I actually wanted to just go back to complete basics and look at the way I play the piano, because I totally plateaued, and I didn't really realize how much I'd plateaued for so many years, because my technical ability hadn't improved since I was about 16 or something, So I've big fan of his music, and continuous music is kind of a lot of broken chords, and you hold the sustain pedal for the entire time to create overtones. And a piece might be 20 minutes long, and it's like a meditation. And it's like this is why he refers to it as like a martial art, because it's like endurance. But actually, when you learn to play it in the way that he teaches it, it's not painful. So it's almost like being Zen. You know, your hands are functioning at their maximum, and it's quite a painful learning process. It's almost like Karate Kid. You know, it's like I kind of went in thinking I was all right on the piano, and then within about 3 weeks, I thought I'm absolutely useless. I don't even know why I'm a composer. And he's very like forthright with me, and he sits there and he says, Matthew, I don't want you to play that song anymore that you've written because you can't play it yet. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
He's like, he's
That's
really
great
great.
honesty.
It is, but it's kind of great. It's kind of what you need. You don't want your ego stroking. So he kind of says, yeah, what you've written is great, but actually what's really technical and you're not good enough to play that yet. So what you need to do is, then he'll take me back, and then he'll just get me doing these exercises. And actually in the 6 months, my piano playing has come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
And I can see but I don't know if you were maybe slightly more fragile, whether you could survive to a mentorship with Lubomir, because it's quite brutal. But
No.
that totally seeped into my composition now, and I've just started. It's just increased my confidence massively. So that's kind of, I've been learning from someone who I know I really respect, and I can see his method. I can see how it works, and I've kind of just aspiring to not to sound like him, but just that kind of dedication to sort of creating a pure sound or whatever it is, and actually just relying on the fact that if you create good music, things will happen. It's not just about, you know, how savvy you are at this and how savvy you are at that. It's actually just make good music that you believe in. And
Yes.
Well, that's a really great thought to finish our with, I think.
Oh, there suddenly went
Already?
fast.
Oh, good
Yeah.
grief. Oh, man.
But that was a really nice thought. I really like that, Matthew. Thank you. And I think it would be fascinating to know more. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to do these once a month. I mean, not necessarily with the same panel. It's been great, but we'll see. And I don't want to take the mick with you guys either. But it's been really great. I really appreciate your contributions. It's gone very fast, yeah?
Yeah,
It has, which is a good thing, you know. Yeah.
It's like,
It's not like going to a dinner party where nobody speaks. I was like, okay. No, it's been great, and it's been a pleasure meeting you all. That's for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward
It's
to
an honor.
connecting with everybody.
honor.
Yeah. So we'll see you in Trinidad next year.
Yes,
totally.
inviting everybody. Once our borders open, come to Trinidad and Tobago. We will party up.
As long as
and I
there's
know they
cake.
know how to party. I was there on a cruise ship many years ago, and I know, yes, they know how to party there. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
very much,
much.
Brian.
Thank you,
Have a
Brian.
good
Thank you
day.
very much,
Have a good
Brian.
evening.
Pleasure meeting you all. Have
See
a
you,
great
Brian.
time. Have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Sure.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.